Come over. Good afternoon, everyone. We're just waiting for our speaker to join in.
Good afternoon. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Sakina, ma'am, can you please share your screen? I'm not able to share the screen.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Can we start, sir? Mr. Pratyush, can we
Yes,
start?
yes.
Okay. Sunita ma'am is here. Our students are here. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Very
Good
happy
afternoon.
to welcome each one of you. We've had a resounding response for this. We've had more than 350 participants from
Wow,
15 states. So it's
great.
a national webinar. Sunita ma'am, can you please indicate that we can start off? It's 4-4. Can we start? Okay. Sakina ma'am, we're waiting for your PPT. I guess we had to have technical issues, in spite of all the.
That is what we are actually trying, isn't it? How to
Yeah.
deal with COVID, post COVID-19 also.
So it's like that last minute anxiousness.
True. That happened.
Yeah. Sakina ma'am? Okay, I think we'll start till Sakina ma'am shares it.
Get started.
Yes. A very good afternoon to each one of you for this. I'm welcoming you all to this virtual seminar, like the way we now know it as the new word, the webinar. We are delighted to have a very huge response from 15 states. I, Ms. Rupa Rao, the coordinator of this series of webinar, welcome you all for this very, very informative session, Contemporary Issues in Space Design. As it is rightly said, clever design converts and changes according to need. This webinar has been organized with the basic aim to answer the doubts that most designers have. How do we cope with this new normal during the COVID-19 times? Before we begin, I would like to request our head of the department to kindly speak a few words. Sunita ma'am? We'll be joined by our principal in the next 15 minutes. She's busy with another meeting, and hence we'll start with Mrs. Sunita Jaiswal, our head of the Department of Community Resource Management, College of Home Science, Nirmala, Niketan. Yes, Sunita ma'am. Sunita ma'am, can we please start? Sunita ma'am, can we please start? Sunita, can you start? There's some issue? No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear. Yes.
Yeah. Good evening and warm wishes to Principal Ma'am, Dr. Geeta Ibrahim, our eminent speakers, and my dear participants. It gives us immense pleasure to invite all to the series of webinar organized in this difficult time of COVID-19. College of Home Science, Nirmala Niketan, the only home science college affiliated to Mumbai University, stands for academic excellence, whereby young women are equipped to meet successfully the challenges of the family life as well as those from the professional world of a changing modern India. The BSc in Home Science, specializing in community resource management, is designed to impart advanced knowledge and skill that is life-oriented, career-oriented, and community-oriented. It has a special relevance to all industries, small scale, as well as manufacturing processing units, as it deals with man-machine interaction, hotel applications, interior design and decor, tourism, occupational health, and management of specific resources with the help of weekly fieldwork, rural camp, hotel and industry internship programs. In the last 35 years, the department has seen various milestones. The department is run by 3 faculty members, Ms. Rupa Rao, Mrs. Sakina Chatriwala, and myself, Mrs. Sunita Jaiswal. I now welcome you all to the first day of the webinar. Welcome. Yes, Ms. Rupa.
Yeah, thank you so much for that motivating speech. We will be joined shortly by our principal, Dr. Geeta Ibrahim. Using human spirit as a starting point for architecture, design, and interiors is the mantra for human-centered design. Modern design is all about realigning our priorities to keep one focused on important things in life. To elaborate on such contemporary issues in space design, during this challenging pandemic era, we have with us 2 eminent speakers, architect Sanjay Pabari and Mr. Pratyush Khatri. Welcome, sirs. I would now like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Sanjay Pabari, who will talk to us on post-COVID-19 impact on interior design. Architect Pabari is an alumnus from Academy of Architecture, Mumbai. He started his practice as an architect in 1991. His projects span Maharashtra and Gujarat. He also teaches interior design and design concepts at SMRK College, Nasik. He is the head of the Department of Resource Management, SMRK, Nasik. So it's a rare blend of practicing architect and academics. He is well known for in the design circles for his work on institutional design. Many engineering colleges designed by him at Shegaon, Khamgaon, Nagpur, and schools at Khamgaon. He's known for his industrial buildings as the ADF Foods Limited at Gujarat and Maharashtra, the ALF Engineering Technologies, Mahindra and Mahindra at Nasik, which is a fantastic plant, and Mahindra and Mahindra at Pune, Fortune Engineering Private Limited. He's also known for his design of hospitals, especially now at the Mumbai Police Hospital, Nagpada, Mumbai. And he's also known for low-cost housing, commercial buildings, and for high-end private residences. Amazing, sir. We are really privileged to hear from you today, and I hope we get a glimpse of at least few of your projects that you're working on. I now invite sir to kindly take over and enthrall us with all your design work.
Thank you very much. Quite kind and elaborate one. I didn't want so much to be done, but yeah, thanks
sir,
anyways.
I hope I've done justice to the big work that you've done, the amount of work.
You've added a little more additional stars maybe, but I'll accept that.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So
I mean, it's a pleasure basically to talk to all old colleagues and some past students I think also have joined, the current students also have joined, and a lot of professionals also seems to be a part of this. And it's a privilege. I would like to thank the college, Nirmala Niketan, who has given me this opportunity. Wonderful. Thank you very much, especially Dr. Geeta, the principal of your college, and of course, Sakina, Sunita ma'am, and Rupa, obviously you, your first colleague, my old colleague from Nasik.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. My first
Exactly.
it's been a pleasure.
And it's really wonderful to see. It would have been better if you could have met one-to-one rather than in the screen for all of us. Of course, no doubt about it. But yes, and also I would like to thank and mutual my this thing speaker, Mr. Pratyush Khatri must have joined.
Yes.
So hi Pratyush, if you are there. And
yes, I'm there. Hello, hi, thank you so
hi,
much.
Pratyush, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you so much. How are you doing?
I just got to know that some of my students are actually working with you, especially Shruti.
Right.
She must also have joined. Yeah, she was just telling me that. Anyway, but it's not a platform to discuss all these things, so I will
Absolutely,
just
absolutely.
that right. And should I start, Rupa?
Yes, sir. Please, please. We are waiting, eagerly waiting.
Yeah. Is the screen visible now?
Yes, sir. We can see it. Effects of COVID-19 on interior design. Yes, sir.
Fine. So got this opportunity to talk about effects of COVID-19 on interior design. So yeah, this is just the first slide where I just put myself where I am. So I would like to start from the basics. I know all of us sitting here know about interior design and all, but I would like to take you a little bit behind and a Wikipedia definition of what interior design is. I'm not going to read this three, but anyways, but yes, a Wikipedia, what interior design means is it's nothing but an art and science and all these things. And we all know about these things. I'm not going to talk about this much. Interior design, as a designer who would like to say, what does an interior designer do actually? As a designer, I would research of materials, research of construction techniques, research of climate, research of weather, whichever plant-based customization, all these things is what an interior designer is expected to do at first. Then he starts with the planning. And when he's talking about planning, he's talking about architecture-related planning, interior-related planning, how he's going to acquire material, how he's going to source those material, what are the machinery he's going to use, all that things come next. And then a little bit more complicated thing of coordination between different agencies, the painting guy, the POP guy, the carpenters and fabric curtain guys and all those things. And of course, finally, the contractor and the client. This is also what is expected to be done from an interior designer. And lastly, execution. Execution is something what we would say that whatever we have done on paper has to come in reality, which will include all forms of agencies, everything we talk about, right from the paint to pin to piano, everything is coming into this execution of design. So this is the fourth thing. I'll have to come back to this later on in my presentation, but everyone knows that this is how we go about as an interior designer. So let us talk about what is the role of an interior designer, or how did interior design evolve so that we can find its relevance today. I'll have to take you a little bit back, maybe a couple of centuries, not very back, don't worry about it. So I'm talking about an industrial revolution which happened way back in 1760, 1840. What happened at that time? Before the industrial revolution, it was just the Kingsley Wood, one house only at a time. The wealthy estates were there to run down slum dwellers. There was nothing like a service-oriented design. Interior design never existed at that time. The slum workers lacked proper services. They created large strains on these things, but the industrial revolution made them flock to the industrial towns, start living around factories, start living around the industries so that they can easily commute to the industries and all. And this is where the first ideas of slum development started happening. Low cost housing was quite way back behind. Started with slums, no services, no proper planning, no spaces for personal. Slowly, it started with the industrial people working for the houses, creating housing for their workers, which was cheap and repetitive designs, because that is what they want. And they separate areas for public and all these things. So what was design at that time? Design was never a part of slum development. Design was never a part of um, workers' inhabitants. It was more of something to show off my wealth. So it was no design, it was decoration. The owners of the factories, right? Those people were there who would consider decorating their things. It's what basically it was only for the rich who could afford housing. The concept of interior designing from there was more or less decoration of their living spaces and surroundings, a way to show off their wealth. This was what was during the Industrial Revolution. Then, of course, a little bit better, the technological revolution started. It was maybe in the later century of the 19th or the early century of the 20th century. The lot sizes increased, the quantum increased, and the species came down. So when the quantum increased and the species came down, what actually happened? The building services started to enter into the buildings. Like plumbing started coming in, heating started coming in. And this was the reason where the houses started taking definite shapes. More floor space was dedicated to furniture and movement. This was due to services separately, efficiency separately, little bit of privacy coming up, and slowly the storage spaces started reducing. So if you see the plans of this 1920s, early 1920s, the storerooms and the large godowns, which were a part of the housing colonies and all, started reducing, because now it was more of industry rather than agriculture. And this started changing the scenario of design. This is the time where I would say the profession of interior design gradually started separating from the profession of architecture, because till here interior design was never considered as a profession, never was it a separate profession. The architect himself was responsible for designing the houses, for decorating the houses. I would go a step further. There were architects who were responsible for even designing the houses. But of course, this was meant only for the rich people. Then came the World Wars. Now, when the World War came in, what happened? The family sizes reduced drastically. Family members started to demand more space and privacy, and this changed to significant changes in the house. Second came in the cars. So when cars came in, obviously you require space for them. So garages were introduced. And when garages were introduced, obviously driveways were introduced. Driveways were introduced, garages were introduced, front lawns were introduced, gardens were introduced. All these things started coming in because I have a car today, I require a place to park. I have a car, I have to drive into my house. If I don't have a car, I will dream of buying a car. And then this started changing the way people started designing their homes. And the second aspect was that home ownership changed hands. From renting, people started to buy or build their own homes, because the fickle nature of the war, people wanted buying their house rather than actually renting a house because of the fickle nature. I am a part of owner of a rental house, and I'm suddenly scared because I don't, I'm being called by the army and I have to go and fight, and I don't have anything else to do. If I am having my own house, I will get compensated for that. And so people started changing their hands from renting houses to owning the houses. And then started the design of the houses, which were actually more styled, modernized. I would say it's something like grew from decoration to include cleaner, softer looks, like the Art Deco styles, bohwas basically. If you want to get an example, people staying in Mumbai, will understand, if you go to the Mumbai High Court, the row of apartments in front of the Mumbai High Court is actually what I'm talking about. Quickly moving on to the next generation or next revolution would be the digital revolution, which most of us, or I would say few of us, not the students, sorry girls, most of us must be a part of it, or I would say witness of all these things. What happened was the introduction of light and electricity based design started coming into this. This resulted in a growth of timeless design ideas. My building doesn't have to look good in the day itself. It also has to look in the night. So it basically started working that my house should look good day wise, night wise. Because there was electricity based designs which started coming into this. So I would call it as a timeless design style which started coming. And we wanted the designs to work in such a way that they would not be old in 10 days time. They will live forever, or maybe at least a couple of decades. They still will look good. And that is why we started coming down to a different type of style designs, which was more of abstract types. Bold colors started coming in, sophistication in furniture started coming in, abstract things started coming in, right? Crisp and clean design started taking place. Of course, with this reason was that the earnings increased, the wants increased. And the wants which were increased, what many clients started opting for renovation, interior designing, and architecture to make their house worth the money they spend in. And this is actually when the profession of interior design started flourishing and actually got recognized. If you see, in 1982, US was the first country to officially recognize interior design as a profession. The fast growth in the housing increased the pollution, of course, it increased the fire risk and other safety hazards. This led to building codes and safety regulations started coming in, right? First locally and then maybe on a larger scale. So this is where the change started happening. Of course, then came the e-commerce revolution, one of the shortest revolution, which started actually in 2010 onwards. Everyone here sitting in this webinar has experienced that. Now, the idea behind all these things is obviously basically to understand how is the conversion, how each revolution has affected the design aspect of what do you call interiors. So the growth of e-commerce led to the world becoming a very small place. Items and materials were ordered from far away and it started arriving easily and quickly. And ordering also became very user efficient. So what happened? The worldwide market became open to all consumers. There was a large variety of products which the users were available for. Of course, in that thing, what other thing started was increasing pollution and increasing awareness for that, which also gave rise to sustainable and eco-friendly design habits, materials, and of course, techniques which were used. And that is why if you see in this last decade which we were working, sustainability design, energy efficient design, the green building things, and all those things started coming into picture. The production of materials grew at large in this area, and the process of building houses and other complexes became faster. Now here I would say, this is the time where we want things very fast. People were getting smaller and smaller houses, but they want more and more designs, more and more alternatives. And maybe my dear friend Pratyush will put in his ideas on that is why how important the modular furniture has got in the last decade and how it is going to increase in the coming years to come. And of course, after this, we have our dear friend COVID coming in with all of us. I would say COVID 2019 onwards. Onwards, I don't know where it is going to end, but it has definitely started. So when I'm saying definitely started, I can certainly say it is a new revolution, something which we have to accept it, because for every change coming in, there is some kind of retaliation always happening. So maybe when there was a world war or there was an industrial revolution, there were people who are not very happy because they are getting used to how they are living. Same way here also, COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, we may find a little bit difficult in the initial stages because there are changes which are expected in our lifestyles, in our design styles. And this is the reason where we may be a little bit comfortable. But I would say it is the new revolution. We can take this opportunity, I would say, to make changes in our old theories, possibly discard our old ideas or modify them into a completely new form of design. How do we do it? So what are the effects and how do we do it? We have first the problems with COVID is restricted movements we have, increased sanitary habits, increased workplace, and so many things. Now, all these are the direct effects of COVID. We all know this. So many people have been saying this every now and then for just strong social media we have, that everyone knows now what is direct and indirect effect of COVID. But how is it going to affect us? So what are we going to do about it? This is the effect. The rapid digitization, massive fluctuations in the economy, decrease in job stability, increased work flexibilities and all those things. Sanitary habits are going to change, movements are going to be restricted. So obviously all these things are going to affect our profession. Things which we love the most is interior design. What is expected? Pragmatic development, decentralization. We can work on government-induced development. We can talk about changes in the city and the state level designs. We will be dealing with larger quantity of spaces, looks. We'll be talking about technological changes. This will also have technological changes in design, in the technology which we are using, in the changes in the basic elements which we are going to use. Workplace and professional changes are going to happen, and so many things. Let's take one at a time. In town planning, we'll have to have increased efforts to be put in. If you see, I'll just sharing a couple of pictures, that large plots, wider roads, this is what is going to happen in the new this thing. If you see what Bombay is facing right now, or Ahmedabad is facing right now, congested city, which have been developed as a natural growth, which we all know as a tree development system. There is a lot of congestion happening because we don't have space to move out. The horizontal development is less, vertical development is more. This results in a complete compaction of planning, this enough load on the infrastructure and all. This has to go. So at the state level, this is what we are going to look at. Coming down to the governance. Hospitals and areas like this will be having given more areas. We'll have to redesign all our public spaces, and we'll have to understand what social distancing is all about. We have been hearing about social distancing, but that has to be now made it comfortable in the design scenarios. If we have been told, okay, we are out of the lockdown. You come out of your houses, you travel, you go to malls, you go to all these places, but maintain social distances. But are our buildings or is our infrastructure designed for this type of social distances? I would say no, because we were not aware of all these things. We were caught asleep, I would say. Now we will have to take care of not only this, or maybe something else also which may come up. So we'll have to redesign all our public spaces, and we have to think about a different mode of design. There are economical changes happening, right? So economy has gone down, the design process will be restricted. So if I have a house, I will not be decorating it or designing it completely. It will be purely based on my requirement. If you see a couple of pictures which I've been showing here, that there are a nice big hall, and I needed one small space to be extended, I don't design. I keep the other design incomplete, and I just keep a add-on to this door. If you can just see the cursor here, this portion has been added to the room, and today's need has been taken care of. We can say that, okay, I've taken care of today. Tomorrow, when my economical status goes up, or maybe my economic is stabilizing, right, then we will be able to fulfill each and every corner and see that the designs are taken care of completely. But
Sir, we can't hear you. Hello?
Could be a technical glitch.
Hello? Yes, sir. Now we can.
more flexible growing method. It should grow the house in the future. I will plan when this type will. Hello.
Sir, your slide.
I think something has gone wrong.
No, hello? Sir, we just lost your voice, the audio 2-3 minutes ago.
Okay.
And you've stopped sharing your screen. So if you can reshare.
It is actually started. Okay, I'll just do that again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. It's been very interesting. I'm sure nobody wants to miss a minute of it also. So one slide before this.
One slide before this?
Yes, sir.
Some problem, technical problems again. See, we are not.
Yeah.
This one?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for those who didn't get through, I was talking about the design in the house growing with us. Today, when I'm designing a space, I will design only what is needed today. That is what I showed in my previous slide. And because two things, I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And second, I don't have enough money to design my entire house today, because that is not what I want. And till date, we were designing the entire thing. Once the money comes in, once I'm sure about what is going to happen, then I will start completing the entire design. And of course, the technological changes which will be a part of the design will be such type of isolation chambers, I would not say rooms, or it will depend on the spaces which we all are used to. If people in Mumbai are going to use to a different type of place, and people outside Mumbai, non-congested areas, which have a luxury of larger spaces, can do something different. I mean, I have answers for both of them. So this type of isolation chambers can be created within the house, where you don't need to take the patient to the hospital, or maybe all those things are not necessary. Hospital is not necessary in this case. Now that we are, I would say, getting used to a biological war, it is actually a biological war. We should also be prepared for a nuclear war, or maybe something even more worse, because things are getting way faster and beyond our control. So we have to take care of ourselves. Bunkers like this, housing below the ground, bunkers like this also could be a part of our futuristic designs. This can also, double up as a insulation, this thing, or isolation chamber to be precise, wherein bunkers can help. I would like to share one or two of my designs, which I was actually doing. If you see the date on the drawing, it is somewhere in the 6th of April. This was a design which I started pre-COVID, I would say, somewhere in January, February, when my client wanted a high-end bungalow to be designed. This is just the ground floor plan of it. The upper floors are not necessary. If you see what we did as a part of during or post-COVID, I have two living rooms in this, 2 rooms into this. There is one children living room, one formal living room, and a central court family area living room separately designed for this house. Why? For a very simple reason. I have created a cut-off lobby which will lead to a formal living room which will be meant only for the guest, entertaining the guest and going back. The client and the family is going to use only this much portion of the house. Now, this was, of course, a luxury high-end house, and also at the same time, it was, I would say, a space, a big enough space for us to design. I understand people in Mumbai will be laughing at this plan and saying that, okay, we cannot have or even dream of this. But yes, very soon we will have to start thinking about all these things. And very soon we'll have to rethink the entire architectural and then the interior designs of it. I'll share one more design here. Is again somewhere in the Vidarbha. Again, this you see it is in May. This was also a high-end residence where my client and we jointly decided to create a special area here on the left, if you see, in the northwest area, a special room with an attached toilet, a common toilet for the caretaker, and an area to meet and all was created away from the main house, but connected to the house. So if someone of that type is actually affected, he or she can still use this house, stay within the house, but at the same time be in isolation and not affect the other portion of the house at all. So this is how immediately, if you see how fast people have started thinking and how fast they want changes into their houses, how fast they have adopted that, okay, this is the new normal. So COVID is a new normal. I'll have to change my planning concept. I'll have to add on to all these things. It was as important that like in the industrial revolution, when people started building their house, they realized plumbing and sanitation was important. So they had to put in the toilets there. Otherwise, it is not going to help. Same thing is happening here. Now, this is inevitable. I may reduce the size of my living room. I may reduce the size of my storeroom, but I will not be able to do away with a small additional room which will not affect my house. So these are just 2 examples of my projects which I wanted to discuss with you all, or just show it to you that people have started thinking about it. Again, the beautiful colors which we are so fond of, right? From, I would say, the schooling till our professional training as designers, and so many students are here. We know the importance of colors, and we know that how we use colors. We have been, using gray, blue, brown, all those very strict colors, I would say. Those colors were used for our offices. We need to think about it again. Let's start using happier, brighter colors, which will be required to break the melancholy of the outside atmosphere. बाहर जो खराब हो रहा है ये सब चीज. So let's, avoid the grays, avoid the whites, avoid the blues and the browns, and the pastels, which we were thinking about keeping the house cool, peaceful, and all, because they are not going to help us in emotions. We require stronger colors to psychologically enhance the moods of the users of the spaces, because their duties are changing. The space which we are allotting are going to change. What is going to add is this in our next plan. We'll have to have those connection between the outside and the inside. And what is the connecting space? The balconies, the in-house greens and the plants. And this is what will be an answer to congested areas like Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Delhi, Bangalore, and Chennai, and all those places. Because if we can't go horizontally, we can certainly go vertically, have our own small terraces, own balconies, where we can connect with the outside world. We can have our own in-house greens. We can have our own kitchen gardens, and of course, additional healthy spaces also. So this is what is going to help. We will also need to understand how we use textures, and we'll have to give up the old for the new. We'll have to think about variety within the house and break the monotony, how it is going to work, right? If you see this, the samples which I'm giving here, these are all so many textures which are available and I can reuse in my designs. Every space in the house, in the office, could have a different feel here. Then dynamic spaces. See what is happening, what we can do with all these things. Again, I would say my dear friend Pratyush is going to be very happy with all these things, and he's going to put more light on this, that how dynamic spaces are going to help me. What is going to happen when we live in a single space for a long amount of time? Anyone is bound to get bored. Anyone. What will happen? Dynamic spaces will allow us to move around walls, furniture, and other stuff in a house, and even change the layout as we want to. If you see on the right hand side, those storage spaces have been worked out. How differently we can convert those storage spaces, how we can fold it up, how we can create partitions within it with all these things. This is going to be the new normal. Another important thing which will require is the importance of a separate entrance lobby, which could be converted into a disinfection chamber. The house here, which I am showing, is just a small lobby outside the house, which is going to help as a disinfection chamber. When you come back from outside, the first precaution you have to take is that you are not bringing any disease inside your house. So obviously the entrance lobby of your house can be converted into a disinfection chamber. When you remove your protection kit, wash, sanitize your hands, and whatever all these things people are telling us to do always, right? This lobby is actually a separator. It's like a barrier between the house and the outside. This is what is going to come up recently and for the years to come. Such lobbies can be introduced outside the entrance of the existing houses too, and it can be incorporated in the designs of the future houses. Even the workspaces, right? So we'll have to create a home-like work environment. We are all aware now that work from home is what the new normal is. But yes, we do not like work from home always. It's something like we have experienced work from home. It is difficult to adjust to the formal or the strict office environment after the lockdown is lifted. Imagine 2-3 months in the house, you're working anywhere, sitting on the sofa, relaxing on the bed and talking to a colleague on the phone and all. And suddenly tomorrow you are told to attend office. Suddenly you are told to go to the college and work. What will happen? Of course, you are not very comfortable. I am sharing here 3 pictures of the very famous Google offices. These are actually office areas of Google, right? All over the world. There should not be much difference between the office and the house, so that the transferring from one place to another is not so difficult and work is not affected due to the sudden change of environment. Like what happened during this lockdown. If you see this type of lockdown which happened, people actually for the initial days, couple of weeks in the start, were finding it very, very difficult to adjust to the new normal. Sitting at home was difficult. Going out was not possible. Working from home was not comfortable. So not only there was this economical loss because of the lockdown, there was this huge work loss and huge habit loss also. I was used to get up early in the morning, drive to the college, sit in the college for 5 hours and come back. This has not happened since last 2.5 months. And suddenly if tomorrow someone tells me, okay, now we'll have to take the first class 8 o'clock in the morning, it's actually going to be difficult to come back to that situation, because 3 months, 2.5 months, everyone sitting here will agree to it. But if I had a work environment, something similar to what you are seeing on the screen, that it's more like a home and an entertainment area, but at the same time you are working also here, then it becomes very easy for you to transfer yourself from one place to another. It becomes more easy. So that is why I wonderfully wanted to share this screen and this office spaces. This is actually Google had already thought about all these things and they have done this. So I said, let's talk about it. Of course, rapid digitization is all there, what we are doing right now. That is what is going to be the new normal. It's also important to document every work in a very digital format, because that is what is going to be transferred through and in such a way that it can be shared very easily through video conferences, via mails and messages and all that. We have some older projects also. We need to document that also. So digital photographs, could also be documented properly. Our sites could be documented properly, which becomes our portfolios in the coming future. And the dynamic working patterns, both ways, space-wise and also time-wise. Firms should work out dynamic working hours along with the dynamic working spaces, I would say. For example, let us say I have a firm with 15 people working. I would ask 5 people can come in the morning, 5 people come in the afternoon, 5 people come in the evening. Of course, they have to be coordinated. And this has fringe benefits like it will also help in decongestion. It will also help me in socializing. It will also help me, concentrate more on my staff and work together. This will reduce overcrowding. It will give more space to work, right? And that work from home, which we all are doing right now, can become the new normal for many firms, which may not have large space enough to accommodate all the employees with social distancing. So how has interior design changed now? After doing all these things, how will we as professionals or the professionals in the making change? My first question, in no way. The process will remain the same. We still have to do the research. We still have to do the planning. We will still have to do the coordination, and we'll still have to do the execution, but completely in a very different manner. Let's take some questions, if there are any. And thank you very much. Just a small thing I always end with: necessity is the mother of invention. This is what is going to happen to all of us, right? And I think we will be very wonderfully co-opting with this and coexist with COVID. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We do have a question which says, how do you decide which projects are good fit for you and your firm, from Maitri Shah?
Good fit for me or and you? Sorry, I didn't get the question again. Can you please come again?
Yes, sir. So it says, how do you decide which projects are good for you and your firm? In the sense, I think what Maitri is trying to say is that, how do you decide which projects you should take and which you should not take? Good fit for you and your firm.
I would say I should take all the projects. I should not have this biased mind with this is good for me, this is not. It's for us as an interior designer. In fact, I would say as a designer, my responsibility towards the society has increased. So even a small one-room kitchen guy comes and tells me that I want to make my room in a post-COVID era, or during COVID, I want to do all these things. This is going to help me or help him take that challenge and convert with the knowledge which we have. That is why we have to, as I told you earlier also, research karo uske upar and take it up. You cannot say, no, this is not good for me. And that is professionally incorrect, I would say.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. So there are two more questions before we move on. How about educational institutions? I mean, in terms of what are the design changes in it? I think what Bhavita Chenupati is trying to ask is that, will syllabus or instructional patterns for educational institutes change? Or, sir, I'll read the question. It says, how about educational institutions? Bhavita, you'll have to give us a little clarification about whether you're talking about instructional design or design of educational institutes. I think so she's talking about design of education, about social distancing in educational institutes and about design changes therein.
Social changes. Okay, it's a simple approach. In education, of course, where we are actually facing this problem of social distancing and all these things, obviously technology, we have already started adopting technology even before COVID happened. Today, we are actually more towards it, and we are adapting. New softwares are coming in. So, of course, that is what the new adoption, the architectural and the interior designing will have to be changed in such ways. Then, of course, as I told you, Pratyush is also speaking behind me. He has this modular thing, which is for all of us. There will be a lot of modular things coming into this educational institutes, wherein the chairs and the desk which we are actually right now sitting, the students are sitting on and working, they are going to take, I mean, they're going to change at 101%, they're going to change. The technology obviously is a part of all institutions now, but it will increase because um, that is what is our earlier also, because we are a global community now. I want to talk to someone in Australia or I want to talk to someone in US, technology is also going to come in. But physically, when I'm talking about an education institute, obviously my spaces will increase. I will require bigger, larger classrooms, or maybe the classrooms which I already have, I'll have to rearrange in such a way that I will be accommodate only 40 to 50% of the class strength into it. But benefiting from this will be that we will be more digitalized in our working. That means the storage spaces will reduce and we can reuse those storage spaces into something else. I hope I got the answer because the question was, I think, aimed at design and not for syllabus. I don't know.
Yes, yeah, it was. It's because she spoke about social distancing and a change in design. So we have architect Uday, who is also a faculty member at SNDT Juhu, because I know him personally. He says, what will be the new work or job opportunity for designers after this scenario? Will it be a positive or a negative impact?
Big positive with 2 pluses on top, I would say. Right. So Udayji, I think you should gear up for more work now coming your way. I can certainly tell you that. Because as I told you, I mean, I shared 2 of my projects on the planning table itself. Agreed, we'll get a lot of work after this, but it will be quantum wise, it will not be money wise.
Correct.
My project numbers will increase, the cost will go down. It will have to be more because of the effect on economy, but that will be a short-term period. And the long term, it will come back. The economy has to bounce back. So when it bounces back, the design theories will still remain the same. Today, the design theories are going to change. I would say, every individual house will give a call to his or her interior designer and ask to create a small workspace within a small flat or house which he is living. That has to be soundproof. That has to be properly lit. It has to be well connected, and I should get my internet connections properly there and all. I have to see to it that it could easily be flexible at any hours of the day. So all these things, it's not possible for them to do. It is us professionals who are going to do it. So yes, काम बहुत है.
Okay, so we'll just take one more question before we have the next speaker, and then if we have time, we'll take the remaining question because questions are just popping up. There's one person, Mr. one lady, Pragya Joshi, who's saying that you said use bright colors instead of gray shades in home to give positive vibes. So this bright color will do in office. Will this bright color do in an office pattern?
I shared some pictures of Google Office, if you see.
Yes.
The idea behind using bright colors and all these things is to merge the difference between a house working area and an office area working. So that because this can happen again, maybe a nuclear war is coming, around the corner, or maybe some other biological war is coming around the corner, and we will not have enough time. Here, what happened? COVID, caught us sleeping, so we didn't have time. Now we should be prepared. So if I have to work from within the house, it should not happen that I'm feeling bored. Or if I'm working anywhere, the line between the office and the home has to be more blurred.
True.
And that is why we require such type of bright colors, fresh colors, psychologically motivating colors, so that when we are bound within those 4 walls, it will keep us motivated and not bring us down psychologically. That is why I wanted you all to use those colors.
True. So one last question from Madhuri Ratnaparki. She's again a faculty member at Pune.
Yes,
and she says, sir, how has faculty members, can we plan the internship for our students?
Online.
This is an academician to academician.
Academician to academician. I can answer this question directly to Madhuri ma'am. But anyway, yeah, of course. See, we as practicing architects, we have already started adopting the new interns in the offices. Even the Council of Architecture, which is the autonomous body, and the Indian Institute of Architects has given us directives and plead that you have to accommodate interns and make them comfortable through distance learning, home working. Most of our projects or most of our things actually happen online. I mean, I can sit here, make drawings, send it over to my boss or my employee, then he will change all these things. In fact, I am aware that there are so many equipments now, iPad Pros and all, where I can share the screen at the same time, edit the screen also along with it. So my internships can happen very, very easily in this period. And in fact, I have started internships with 2 students 2 days back. That was Monday. And they're doing good.
Oh, great. So we have few more questions, especially one very interesting one from Devansh Vats, but we will take it up post Pratyush sir's talk, because it is 5 now and we can get started with the next speaker. So is it okay for us to take the questions that is posed to you after the talk?
Certainly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking us down the history lane, right from where garages, began to be a part of homes, till COVID-19 and onwards, and bringing us back to the current situation. And we had actually got lost into such a lovely presentation, and we are back over here, to the COVID-19 situation. From isolation chambers to color planning, you covered it all in the crisp 45 minutes. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sakina ma'am, if you're ready, I now call upon our youngest faculty member, Ms. Sakina Chatriwala, to please introduce Mr. Pratyush Khatri to us.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Our second speaker of the day, Mr. Pratyush Khatri, is a multifaceted person with a varied interest. Born and brought up in Chennai, Mr. Pratyush is a keen learner, as it is evident from the various degrees and diplomas he holds. He started off as a financial associate, but later developed an interest in interior design. He began his career by co-owning an interior designing firm named Purple Brick Interiors, which he ran for 5 years. He now has an experience of more than 8 years in this field with various projects in his name. He is currently working in Home Lane, a modular furniture company based in Thane, as a community design manager. I welcome you, Mr. Pratyush, for the day. You may now take over.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, and I think I'm indebted to Mr. Sanjay Babari as well. I've learned a lot of powerful insights from him as well, and I think he has covered up many things which probably even I did not know, in terms of what was the trend that was running around the globe, and how we started, to what has been the history behind interior designing coming into picture, and people could differentiate between what exactly is interiors and what is architecture. So I think that was done pretty beautifully. I was actually rejoicing the entire conversation, and thank you for that. And I can definitely learn a lot from him, and I think I've noted down a lot many points. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Sanjay. It's been great sharing the screen with you today. And thank you so much, Sakina, for the very, very warm introduction. And I think it may have sounded a bit exaggerated one with the degrees kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm one of those students who was a backbencher, flunked in many subjects in my school time. Things maybe that I shouldn't be sharing right now in an online forum, but then yeah, this is a sort of true venture. And you always have this phase in your life when you're trying to figure out on what exactly you want to do in life, right? And this was the very stage when I think I'm addressing all the home science students over here.
Not really, sir. We have a lot of design students.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Few of them are from home science. Few of them, very few.
Okay. Thank you for the correction. Yeah. So I may goof up here and there. I'm not very prone to taking classes online, and I meet people, a lot of people personally. But then this is probably my very first session when I'm actually online and I'm talking to especially students, because I'm more used to with people who are rather graduates or interior designers who are taking up interviews with my organization, or people who are working with me. So I think this is the very first time when I'm online, and thank you so much for the warm welcome, and thank you, Ms. Rupa, for the wonderful opportunity. So I think you can let me know where, if I want to begin, but I'll give you a short introduction from where I started. So before I got into interiors, I was really looking, I was keen into what exactly that I wanted to do. So I was working for TCS, and then I worked to banks. From banks, I went into MCX stockbroking. From MCX stockbroking, I was into event management. From event management, I switched to interiors. So there has been a little bit of insight that I took when one of the modular furniture company was assembling all the furniture at my friend's place, and I saw that there is a kitchen being built, and I was looking at the drawings, and I could completely relate to what exactly was I viewing at that moment on the site, and what is being given in the drawings. So that is where I think the breakthrough happened when I did a lot of research. Okay, so interiors, every time there is going to be a new site, new challenge, new personality, a lot of different materials that you'll be playing around, because in the last 8 years, I can tell you that every day has been a learning experience. Like you learn about a lot of new materials, you learn about the trends that are going around in the market, in the world, what is getting launched, what exactly are people doing for businesses. In terms of, if you look at IKEA today, I think if we're talking about a world which is going to be beyond COVID, uh, uh, there are a lot of researches which are happening right now into what exactly will the furniture field look like. So the IKEA, one of the researchers from IKEA has found out that probably by the end of November or December, we will have to design a lot of children's bedroom. So if you think, there is a lot of thought behind it, that people are right now under a lockdown where there is no pressure, people are family planning, so we will have a lot of kids, right? So that's probably anticipating the current scenario and converting that into a business. And I think the children's bedroom concept is something which they're working on rigorously, and that's the beauty about it. See, like what Mr. Sanjay has mentioned, necessity is mother of all inventions. I have a slight different view about it, wherein it's not a different view, my bad. It's more of a similar view, but I've heard it somewhere that there is a racer from on the tracks who mentioned that it's easier for you to overtake 10 cars when it's sunny, but when you do it when it's raining, you will be remembered, and the joy of doing that is going to be tremendous. So I think we all have an opportunity going forward. Once the COVID ends, uh, there are going to be days which would be beautiful, and I think I'm going to cover that part when I start off with the rest of the call. All right. I definitely do not have a lot of slides like Mr. Sanjay had, but I definitely have a few good captivating insights that I'm going to talk about, and I'll do that while I share my screen with you guys. Give me just one quick minute while I share my screen. I hope you guys can see my screen.
Oh, yes, sir, we can. It has to go onto the slideshow mode.
Sure. I'll do that. Oops, my bad.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that was not, this is my first slide, fair enough. So I'm going to talk majorly about the myths about the modular furniture and current trends in interior design. So majorly, I think if you look at 10 years down the line, people were very comfortable with carpenters, with people whom they knew, or the other interior designers in the market. Uh, and interior designing also came into a trend of lately, at least for the rest of the India. I think Bombay has been doing pretty well. But in terms of India as a whole, I think it took a lot of time for Bangalore to acquire this. Chennai took far more time. And I started my career pretty much with Chennai, and that's the context behind why I'm talking from a background of India level. So we started from Chennai. I expanded myself to Bangalore and then to Mumbai. So if you look at the trend which is being started in the last 10 years, it's been quite different. There has been a 300% growth in terms of how the market is shaped up and how things have changed in terms of the demand for interior designs. There has been a tremendous demand in terms of colleges teaching interior design, various other institutes that are from outside which are doing these things. We did not have a BSc degree for interior design, and thankfully now we have a BSc degree as well. Earlier it was all diplomas, but now we have a BSc degree as well. So I think times have been changing drastically, and so have we. And I think in terms of modular, it was always misconcepted कि एक बार modular furniture अगर बन के site पे लग गया, it's pretty difficult for you to cope up with the kind of material which is being given, and the life of the material is not going to last long. People were not very happy with the kind of technology which was present in India. But I think in the last 3 years, there is a lot that has changed. And there is a lot of myth that I'm going to burst around of what exactly happened in terms of a modular furniture. So I think okay. So basically, in modular furniture, earlier there were restrictions in terms of what kind of core materials could you use, but now there are a lot many materials that you can offer to your clients, unlikely the past, right? Because earlier carpentry could give you any amount of things, like whatever you want to design, you want to shape it up in a round shape, or you want to do it in a square, you want to make a different kind of stuff. You could call for a carpenter and you could do it. But modular furniture is something which has got its advancements into technology. For example, where I'm working right now, homelane.com has ventured out into a completely tech-based background wherein we could make quotations completely online without even seeing the site, just by the floor plan itself. And so we have a software wherein we make a 3D room, and whatever modules we put in, right on the screen on the top comes the pricing. So it's easy for the customer to view how exactly is that particular bedroom going to cost them in terms of what kind of material have they chosen, what is the finish which is going around, and what happens when they choose between different materials. So it helps them understand to choose a budget, because majorly when we deal with clients, and the very first question that we ask as a designer is, how do you see your house to come up with? What are the bright ideas? They may come up with vague ideas which are doable, which are not doable, which could be confined to a space or not confined to a space. But now things have changed, because we are not really embarrassed in front of a customer to ask, sir, aapka budget kitna hai? Right? The technology has moved forward, and it's been easier for people to tag along by looking at the screen कि नहीं ये थोड़ा महंगा लग रहा है, एक काम करते हैं इसको change करते हैं. So technology has given that leverage wherein we could change materials and we could provide what exactly the customer wants without we asking us what exactly is the budget that you're working around, right? So with display centers, with things being online, and I think Sanjay sir has rightly mentioned, the usage of internet has made the world look very close or a very small place, right? And that is what we've been doing in terms of developing ourselves, in terms of improving more and more catalogs to showcase people how exactly do we function, and then take things forward on a technological basis. So why should you choose interior design? Or this is something which is very important for you to look at as in terms of a designing. So what exactly is a design? A design is not something that aesthetically looks beautiful or something that has too many detailings. Of course, a design is made to look beautiful, and it has to have detailings, but that's not the sole purpose. What if the iPhone looked very beautiful? It has a beautiful logo, it looks pretty fine on the front, but it doesn't function well. So functionality is something which is very, very important for a design to function. And that is the skill-based thing that modular furniture has provided to the world. Because when in terms of carpentry, I think this is something which does not have a course in India. आप जाके कोई carpentry का course नहीं कर सकते हो, right? In India, it's not very famous, and people wouldn't even opt for it. So how do you make a skill out of a set of carpenters and call them people with skill? So this is possible only with the technology and whatever we have learned from the West in terms of importing materials and understanding their standard operating protocols. So I think if you look at the gas pumps are being installed by carpenters, as well as these have been installed by people who are into modular industry as well. So unless and until you really don't know what's the angle to which you should supposed to fix the gas pump, you will not know how is it going to function, right? So functionality is a key word that I want to talk about, and the design is something that works, or rather something that is functional, that works or solves a problem. So I think all major businesses have been built by solving a small problem. Every major business. That's how things have been into the market. So what exactly is a modular furniture? And so modular furniture is inspired by Lego. Lego is basically those smaller plastic units or the toys that kids used to play around in the school. These were just joining and creating shapes. So now the technology is improved so drastically that Lego was the base from where the modular furniture came in, wherein we just had to assemble a few things that have been prepared in the factory. So if you look at the car that is on my right hand side, it's a Bugatti Veyron, the world's fastest car at one point in time. It's not today, but this is a replica which is being created out of Lego. This is not a real car which can run on the road, but this is a car which is created out of Lego, right? And the one on the left is a complete TV unit in terms of it has a book rack and it has a TV which is mounted onto it. It has a few drawers, right? So these are also components which have been manufactured in factory and then assembled piece by piece onto the customer's location, right? So this is how modular furniture works, and this is how it's distinctive in terms of how regular carpentry looks and what modular has to offer, right? So what is the kind of trend that is being set by a modular furniture? I think it is being quantumized pretty well. We have a lot of softwares which could tell us how much materials are required in terms of preparing a unit. Say for example, if I'm going to make a TV unit, a carpenter आपको एक rough idea देगा कि sir 4 sheet laminate खरीद लो, 4 sheet veneer खरीद लो, इतने में आपका बन जाएगा. So you really do not know as a customer 4 sheet में बनेगा या वो ज्यादा बोल रहा है या वो मेरा मटेरियल काट के फेंकेगा या वो बाहर फेंकेगा या वो खुद की साइड पे कहीं और इंस्टॉल करेगा, और what exactly is he going to do with your material? So I think in modular furniture, the technology is so improved that I can calculate everything on a tech basis, and I would know how much of material is required in terms of making a particular unit. So my BOQ part is completely sorted. My bill of quantities, and in fact, my bill of materials is also sorted. So I would know that if I'm, अगर मुझे एक 8x4 के प्लाई को 2 में divide करना है, तो आधा मैं किस में use करूँगा और बाकी का आधा किस में use करूँगा. So that brings a lot of impact in terms of supporting the environment, avoids a lot of wastage, and definitely drastically reduces down your cost. So modular industry is coming in trend today with its aids to maintain the consistency in ecosystem. Commonly available or used plywoods and laminates which are of various sizes. It could be 8x4, it could be 7x4, it could be 6x4, it is 10x4 as well. So we have identified cut sizes in terms of what exactly will go as per the international standards, right? In any modular furniture pieces made, it is ensured that there is least expected wastage, thus supporting the environment. I'm also going to share a YouTube video with you guys wherein you will be able to see. I may have to stop my screen and show you the YouTube video. I do not know how is it going to play live, but I'm just going to demonstrate that part with you guys.
So remember to share your computer audio with us, so then we'll be able to see the video and also listen to it.
Let me check if that's being shared.
You'll have to share the computer audio, your computer audio with us.
For some reason, it's not letting me open my Zoom.
So we can see it. We can see the YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, and it says furniture, the movable articles in the room. We can see it. Just that we have to, you'll have to share the computer audio so that we can see it.
I hope this works. Can you hear the audio now? Please let me know.
For
Yes,
basic
sir, we can.
sleeping and additional functions like storing, supporting. The art involved in making furniture is called carpentry, which is done manually with the use of various tools. A factory is where large quantity of material is stored, thus providing for mass production. Using machines, large amount of components of various products can be manufactured simultaneously. Raw material used is mainly plywood, laminate sheets, laminate strips, and glue. Firstly, plywood sheets are laminated using a press lamination machine, which glues together layers of laminate material at high temperature. Lamination improves strength by preventing the wood from expansion. Also gives it stability and a smooth surface. A mechanized belt and arm uses suction to pick and stack boards systematically, improving production. These laminated boards are stored and cut using a beam saw machine, where precise cuts are made using computer inputs, reducing human effort of handling and cutting. Also reducing waste, providing consistency and speed. Smaller components are then cut manually using a manual saw. Sanding is either done pre-lamination for a rough surface to be glued on later, or post-cutting for smooth edges and a finished surface. This is a CNC processing center, a computer-controlled shaping machine. It has tools on 6 heads to make different shapes on the components in 2D as well as 3D. Routing is a shaping process used to make holes, contours, cutaways, and finished edges. In a CNC router, which means computer numeric control, values are fed using softwares like AutoCAD. Edge banding is giving components a smooth finished edge with the help of an edge banding machine. Where laminate is banded on edges at temperatures as high as 250 degrees Celsius for a long-lasting product. The components are carefully packaged together using bubble wrap and rubber strips, ready to be assembled into a final product at the customer's end.
I hope you all were able to listen to the audio.
Yes, sir, we could. It was very informative.
Great. So I think what I wanted to showcase from the video was that the technology has improved a lot. Earlier, people were restricted and pretty scared in terms of what kind of materials should we use. And we had a lot of restriction in terms of what India could offer, right? People had this myth stating that modular furniture is not going to last long, or it's not strong enough, or you can't customize it according to your needs. But that's no more true. The last 3 years, we have seen a lot of advancements in terms of technology, in terms of compression. I can assure you that at this point in time, no matter what you choose, whichever material you choose, any modular furniture guy can install that for you and make it for you as per your requirement. We may have certain amount of restrictions in terms of feasibility of having round shapes and different kind of shapes in terms of what we have to offer. But otherwise, majorly everything else has been covered today, right? Earlier, the furniture could be made only in terms of MDF or any other material which is as smoother as MDF. But that's not true anymore. If you look at the trend, what has been going on for the last 5 years, I think there has been a drastic change. We could import a lot of Burma teak wood, but now Burma has completely stopped exporting its teak wood. From teak woods, we slowly started moving towards plywoods. Now even plywoods are slowly diminishing and we are moving to a lot of different kind of boards, right? So when we talk about boards, I think if you look at the market which is there in US and Europe, I mean, most of the European countries, the trend has completely shifted. They do not have the leverage of having a carpenter called to the site to do a lot of things. They do many things by themselves. All they have is a kit with them. The kit has self-explanatory stuff, which is quite mentioned in the briefing itself. Install your left-hand side panel the first time, and then install the bottom panel, and then on the right. So all these screwing technologies, along with whatever materials are required, whatever tools are required, are already given in a kit, right? My apologies in case if you're hearing a lot of background noise, because I'm sitting in a place which is surrounded by nature and there are a lot of birds that are chirping around. So I'm really sorry, but that's beyond my control. So yeah, in terms of the technology, I think US and Europe have already stopped using plywoods, and I think near future, somewhere in India, I think we're going to see the same thing. That's the trend which is going to repeat. And IKEA has just started venturing out, and I think we all have seen the kind of boom that IKEA had in the last 2 years in India. And going forward, the market is going to change completely. What effects of COVID that we're going to have, I'm going to cover that part in the next few slides for you. Right now, what all kinds of things that are being used in terms of making a modular furniture is what I'm going to cover. So you might have seen a lot of flap hinges that people use, but in modular furniture, there are a lot of different other aspects which are being used for preparing the furniture. And if you look at the very first image that says soft closing hinges, I think this is one of the best things that a modular furniture is able to cater to its client, which are the soft closing hinges. So whenever you involve soft closing hinges, even when someone is in an angry bird mode, if someone is going to thrash down the door, it's going to still apply brakes and then close softly. So there is a lot of noise reduction that has happened in terms of using soft close hinges. Now, this is something which even the carpenters give you, but unless and until they do not know the right applicability or the usage of installation of hinges, it's not going to work the same way it works in modular furniture. So that is what the skill gives, right? So carpenters may install 4 hinges, which might not be even calculated properly at different heights. And I think a modular furniture industry offers you pretty much in a better format in terms of what a local carpenter could do. See, there are many carpenters who give you a very good finish, a very good quality, no doubt about it. It's not that I'm saying modular is the only thing that gives you a good finish. But in terms of percentage, there are a very few carpenters who can give you an absolute beautified finish, but not everyone is capable enough. And if you want to have a very good finish in terms of carpentry made furniture, you'll have to pay a lot of money. And I'm sure everyone who's there on the call would agree. At one point in time, if you have dealt with carpenters, you would have had it. So I think these things involve a technical aspect, which comes with a skill which has been which are being trained from people like Hetich, Efle, and there are other players who are from Germany, Russia, Japan, Singapore. So these people have come with a lot of innovative products that can be installed in Indian usage as well. And in terms of even hydraulic pumps, I think this has been there into the market for a pretty long time, but do they work on a soft closing basis? Not many carpenters would go ahead and give you that guarantee or assurance, right? But there is a particular angle in which it's supposed to be fixed, and there is where it will function properly in terms of both soft closing and soft opening, right? So we have a lot of different fittings that I'm not going to elaborate because this is itself is a very huge component, and there are booklets of around 400 pages which will tell you just about components that are available with Hetich and Hefle. So these are just some finest examples that I'm going to talk about, which is the rolling shutter unit or the tambour unit. Excuse me, my bad. So tambour units are openable shutters, which gives you a very sleek look. It does not involve a lot of design element, but it provides a very, very beautiful aesthetic effect in terms of simplicity. So you could involve a lot of colors. As Mr. Sanjay has mentioned, do not use too many colors in one room. So you need to understand the basic difference between what all kinds of colors are involving in one particular place. So say, for example, if you see 4 walls, and if you paint all 4 walls into different colors, and then you have a different colored sofa, a different color flooring, aesthetically, it's going to look like probably a children's room, or to be precise manner, it could be even a khichdi, right? So that's not what we do. So in terms of usability of design, aesthetics do matter in terms of what kind of colors you use. So anywhere, wherever you're playing between 2 colors, which is present on permanent items, and wherever you have your loose furnitures, you could go with different kind of cushions, rugs, runners on the table, the mats, the floor rugs could provide a lot of difference in terms of how aesthetically beautiful a place could look. So going forward, I'll showcase a few projects that I've completed, and you will have a better understanding of what colors play around in terms of creating a beautiful design, right? So if you look at the pantry unit, which is on the left hand side, this comes with a pre-fit, but then this is as per international standard. This cannot be customized, right? So this comes with the restrictions of, now this is where the problem would arise in terms of where a client could face a problem. So you would get into a comparison mode, especially in cities like Bombay, where the space is quite restricted and every inch matters, right? So they would say कि नहीं अरे मेरा मुझे तो ये इतने में ही चाहिए. So that is you will have some sort of restrictions, because there are a lot of things in terms of weight bearing capacity, in terms of soft closing, soft opening. If the right weight is not put onto it, it may not open softly or it may not close softly, right? So there are a lot of ergonomics that comes into picture. There is a lot of engineering that comes into picture in terms of how these products are designed, and that is what comes with your skill of putting right things into right place. So there is a lot of training in that we provide to our designers on what exactly is the usability, the functionality, what is the standard requirement for a drawer to function properly. So say for example, when you look at an inertric drawer, which is in between, so this is made up of steels on the side. The base could be a commercial plywood or a BWR. BWR is a boiling water resistant plywood, right? In generic terms, people call it as a marine plywood. There is nothing called marine ply. Marine ply naam ka sirf wood hota hai, which is used in shipping industry, but there is nothing called marine ply. All we have in the market is BWR and BWP. BWR is boiling water resistant. BWP is boiling water proof, right? So these are the drawers which involve various components. Now this particular drawer is from Heritage, right? So the side body is made up of steel. It looks beautiful. It functions so well. It does not accommodate any kind of dust. Cockroaches do not build any kind of homes into your regular channels. So hygienically also, it's pretty easy for you to maintain all of these things, right? All you have to do is just put a dry cloth inside and you can clean it. So this is not something that probably a carpenter could give you. And even if they do, they wouldn't know what exactly is the international standard. So say, for example, this could come in two sizes, which is 600 or a 900, which could be a maximum that we could provide in terms of these. A few companies may go ahead and give you a drawer for 1200, but again, there are a lot of limitations. So when a carpenter installs all of these things, he wouldn't know about the usability or the functionality. The only reason being he wouldn't know, he wouldn't be trained, or he is not skilled enough to know the product itself, right? And then I'm just going to move on to the next slide. I have just explained you about a few very basic things that modular hardwares and accessories could be fitted along the woodwork, right? So what are the major differences between a modular furniture versus custom carpentry? So I'm just going to read through first and then provide you my insights on it. So the core difference is going to be the size of the furniture. A furniture with the modular technique has uniformity in sizes, whereas in carpentry there are size differences, right? So if you carefully notice, the video itself told you about there are CNC machines, there are cutting machines, there are hot pressing machines. So these are basically involved with a laser cut. So a carpenter is always going to measure it 2-3 times, check if this is proper. If it's not, he's going to scrub his, scrub the entire material. There might be chances where the laminate would have chipped off, or while cutting, there could be various other kind of damages that could happen. But that does not happen in terms of a factory. A factory involves all the machineries, which provides you with absolute accuracy. I think the errors which have been noticed is around 0.05%. That's the error that these machines provide, which is not even visible to a human eye, unless and until this is going to vary in terms of a large furniture piece which is going to be prepared. But that's not something that we do it for in terms of a home or in terms of an office. So visually there is no impact, and there are a lot of other materials also which could have the errors reduced than 0.05%, right? The finish of the furniture in terms of modular furniture, due to its factory process, has a uniformity in the finish of the furniture and micro finishes on the edges. Now, this is a very beautiful insight that I want to talk about. In carpentry, people use laminates, and on the edges, either they paint the surface or they provide laminates onto the edges. Now, making an edge in laminate can make it very, very sharp. Plus, there might be enough chances of the laminate getting chipped off, or the sharp edges could, it may have some issues in terms of usability. Say, for example, if you open a drawer in a rough manner, the moment it comes in contact with human skin, you may develop some cuts while using it. So I think in a modular factory, the edges are covered with edge bands. So edge bands are made out of PVC mixed along with wooden particles, and majorly those is 80% is PVC. So these edges can be curved as much as possible up to around, I think, 60 degrees. So whenever there is an impact with the human body, you will not have cuts in your bodies. You may tend to develop maybe some kind of like a blackening of the skin in case if the impact is too high, but then you will definitely not have cuts anywhere on your body, right? Whereas in carpentry made furniture, the edges are so sharp, it may have the chipping problem, or the micro detailings may get missed out. Second, in carpentry, you can never have the quantum. आप उनसे कभी बात ही नहीं कर पाओगे कि standard क्या है. आप plywood को ऐसे join करोगे या ऐसे join करोगे. What exactly is the top portion that is going to come, or what is the standard? So this is where the gimmick is. When you provide an order to a carpenter, you really wouldn't know what exactly is the detailing if you are a client. Of course, being in interior designing, I think you would know a lot of detailings of how exactly a plywood could be joined. It could be interlocking joints. It could be simply merging one surface with the another with usage of screws. But a customer wouldn't know. So modular has solved all those problems in terms of how strong the material can be made and what standard could it be involved in processing the material, right? So core materials, as I said earlier, I think earlier there were a few core materials that could be used, but nowadays it's everything that can be compressed in the factory itself. The economical difference, if you talk about, I think there has been, the cost would be around 30 to 35% less in terms of what you spend on a carpentry made furniture. Plus, for a 3 BHK, the material can be produced as good as in as good as 6 days, right? Whereas in terms of carpentry, if the manufacturing is going on the side, it will take roughly around 2.5 to 3 months for it to completely come out in a beautiful manner with the absolute finish, right? Now again, this depends between carpenters to carpenters. A few may tend to give you some kind of a rough finish. It could be done probably in 1.5 or 2 months. If there is someone who works deeply in terms of finishes, then it will take around 2.5 to 3 months, right? But for a 3 BHK, the material in the factory can be processed in as good as 6 days. And the installation can take around 10 to 15 days on site. So I think there is a lot of savings in terms of manpower, in terms of cost, and especially with COVID, I think carpenters are numbered huge when they're working on site. For a 3 BHK house, I would always say that around 8 or 9 carpenters are working on the site. But in terms of modular, it's either set of, I think there are 2 pairs of people who are working on the site, and I think they finish everything within 6 or 7 days maximum. And in terms there are any snags or there are some alignment issues, then possibly there might be another 3 or 4 days of workmanship which will be left. So in 10 to 15 days precisely, all your furniture is installed on the site. That's the maximum time involved. So you save a lot, the customer rather saves a lot when they opt for a modular made furniture, right? So this is just an image or a comparative between how a modular kitchen looks like and how a carpenter made kitchen looks like. So on my right is the furniture which is being done by a carpenter. On the left is something which is being prepared in the modular factory. Now, if you look at the design on the right hand side, if you can see, the design is not very uniform. There are a few units that are on the upper side. The unit of which is for the chimney has gone all the way to the roof. The island made kitchen has different kind of carvings into it. So there can be different kind of designs in terms of what a carpenter would go ahead and mix and match and provide to the client. But in terms of designing in a modular furniture, the designer would precisely work on contemporary designs of the modular design, the modern designs, right? Whereas carpenter can mix and match a lot of things. aesthetically, it may be appealing, it may not be appealing, but in terms of a modeler, it's definitely going to be appealing, right? Now, again, there are a few more comparatives to what a carpenter makes on site and how a modular furniture gives you a look. So the images on the top are from a modular industry, and the one that is at the bottom on the left hand side is from carpentry, right? So there is a huge impact of the finishing, of maintaining of the line level over here. So in terms of aesthetics, in terms of functional issues, there is a lot of problem solving that has happened, right? So the process of modular furniture, I think we saw that on the video. This is just another slide which explains of how exactly processing happens. So the raw material is received on the site, sorting of raw materials happens, the hot press. So hot press is basically, carpenter cannot do a hot press on site. So he's just gonna apply the glue, stick a laminate or the veneer to it, probably provide some supporting system to it, while the overnight drying process happens, and then the next day they work on a different edge, right? But in terms of the modular furniture, that's not required. The hot pressing machine does the proper compression between a laminate or a veneer and presses along with the plywood, right? And there could be a chance of bubbling up, but that is rectified on the factory level itself. But in terms of carpentry, if there are any bubbles, it gets identified pretty late, right? So that's the technology of hot press. The hot press provides even surface. There are no chances of bubbling up. The compression is better in terms of what a carpentry mate could give and what a modular furniture gives to you, right? Cutting of desired sizes, of course, there are softwares in terms of CNC machines that provide precise cuts. Fixing of hardware happens precisely on site, but the testing happens on the factory itself. So once the modular furniture is made into the factory, they assemble the entire unit within the factory itself to check for errors, कि कहीं पे अगर कहीं chipping हुआ है, or are there any errors? Are we able to interlock or joints in terms of all the mini fixes? Is the unit properly being made, or are there alignment issues? Many things are rectified in the factory itself, and then it is being packaged into different packets. So let me give you a fair example of what we do in our company where I'm working currently. So once the modular furniture is manufactured, a proper QC process happens wherein the product is assembled, they check it from all sides. If there is any chipping off, the edge band is being fixed properly. And once the QC is done, it is disassembled, packaged into different packs, and then these packs are numbered. And once these things are numbered, it is being sent to the site and to the customer location. So master bedrooms material goes into master bedroom, the kitchen material goes into a kitchen. So the segregation of the material also happens in a sorted way, so that the carpenters will not have to search which material is for which room, right? This process of segregation saves a lot of time. So that's again possible only with modular furniture and not with carpentry, right? And once the packaging happens, the delivery is made, the transportation happens, and then the assembly happens on the site, right? So even if there are any damages that we may have incurred while installation of the material onto the site, it can be rectified because my manufacturing and processing timeline is pretty less. So when I say it takes 6 days for me to manufacture everything in a factory for a 3 BHK home, if it's going to be 1 or 2 panels, it's not going to take more than 2.5 hours or 3 hours, right? So that's the beauty of it. If there is anything that gets damaged onto the site, there would be an immediate requirement which is being provided to the factory, and then we go ahead and manufacture and reinstall that material for the client. So it becomes hassle-free for both the designer and for the client, right? There is another thing which we are easily nagged on from the clients, because in terms of carpentry, when you visit the site, the customer is going to tell you, एक काम करते हैं, इसको है ना change करते हैं, ये मजा नहीं आ रहा है. Though the material is not completely ready, but the client will go ahead and tell you to change the design. Whereas in modular furniture, that's not possible, because you process the order only when the designing is complete, right? So that's one of the perks that you have, again, in terms of choosing a modular furniture. So I think this is going to be the next new normal post the COVID world. You can precisely notice that a guy is completely dressed up with all the mask and precautionary gloves. There are shoes. They're wearing all the precautionary outfits that is required in terms of providing a proper hygienic material that could be transported to a site. Now, this is not something that which is possible again in terms of carpentry, because in carpentry you will have to source the material from a regular market. It would have a lot of exchange in terms of exchange of hands in terms of transportation of materials. It will be loaded from a warehouse into the van. From the van, it's going to be loaded onto the site, and from the site, there are a lot of different carpenters going to work. And in terms of carpentry, you all would know that आज अगर कोई और दो लोग काम करें तो कल कोई और दो लोग काम करेंगे. But in terms of modular, that's not the fact. People who are working previously are the ones who is going to continue the next day. In most cases, that's how it works, right? So I think since these people are trained and educated into how you're supposed to function post the COVID world, this training is on a large scale is possible only in terms of a organized sector or an organized company. You cannot go and talk to out there to all the carpenters who are available and tell them, you know what, you need to wear these gloves and this is a necessity. They may do it in front of you, but once you're out of the site, they're not going to do it. All right. So I think how do they look at the world post the COVID? I think we will have to coexist with the virus for at least probably 2 or 3 months, and I think this is going to be the new norm in terms of interiors of where I see the modular industry or the interior designing industry as a whole. With this, I think I have given you a basic gist about what modular furniture looks like. I may have overdone. I'm really sorry if there is something which went over your head, but I think we'll get into the Q&A session where we could talk about all of these things. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was a lovely insights into what modular kitchen is, what modular furniture is, what are the trends. The video was very informative. And yes, I would want to say that the bird chirping was actually a welcoming sign, because we've just been locked indoors, and it has been a real pleasant kind of sounds that we heard. So before we go on to the Q&A session, there are plenty of questions on YouTube as well as from in the Q&A tab. We have with us our principal, very dear principal, Dr. Geeta Ibrahim. We'll just have, because she's been waiting for almost like at the beginning of the session to address us. If you permit, we can just have ma'am speak to us a few words.
Oh, absolutely.
We want her luck and success. We want her wishes and good wishes with us before we move on to the Q&A. Geeta ma'am? Geeta ma'am? Geeta ma'am, are you here? Okay, I think there's some connectivity issue again. Maybe we can, we will take in a few questions. To start with the modular furniture, there are a few questions which says, what would be the difference between fire lobby and main lobby post-COVID? And mainly on what should the designers and owners keep in mind when they are designing it? Because fire lobbies should be clutter-free. And they said they're talking about sanitized lobby. Maybe she's talking about alcohol used in the sanitizers and fire exits. This is by Shruti Badhan.
Okay. Got that. Thanks, Shruti, for the question. I think in terms of fire, that's more related to the architecture part, wherein it's been pre-designed by the architect himself, and there are outlets being provided at various points in the house, right? As far as you're not touching those outlets from where the sprinklers are going to spray the water, your life is quite sorted. But in terms, even if you have to move those, you can do that with the permission of the society. You may want to use some flexi pipes or the hose pipes wherever you have you may face situations where you want to fix a particular unit, and exactly there is where you will have a fire pipe going around, or there is where you will have the outlet for the water to sprinkle. In such cases, I think what you can precisely do is you can fix up a hose pipe, of course, with the permission of the society, or the very with the permission of the Department of Fire, whoever is sitting in the society, right? As per the norms. So they would provide with a hose pipe and fix it outside your unit. So you may have to provide a dummy packing, and behind the dummy packing is where you could fix the unit. Now this also depends from a case-to-case basis on how exactly or where exactly is it located, right?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Poripurna Goswami is asking, is the modular furniture suitable for damp area, or does the moisture affect this kind of furniture?
Great. That's a very nice question. Thank you so much for asking that, Poonima. So I think while I showed you things on the video, modular furniture involves a hot pressing on site. So say, for example, if a plywood has its own shelf life, say, for example, a commercial plywood would last around, if it's going to be completely immersed into water, it's going to take water around 4 hours. Whereas a BWR would hold water up to 8 hours, and a BWP, which is boiling water proof, will hold water up to 72 hours. Now, this is the capacity of just a raw plywood. But the moment you fix laminates on both the sides and finish it with edge bands, the life increases. So there is no way the moisture can enter inside. Now, having said this, it depends on what kind of dampness does the wall have. Now, if it's going to be if it's going to be some kind of a continuous leakage, then there will be a lot of problems, because even if you use a Burma teak wood, it's going to spoil, right? It can't be a permanent leakage. And if there is any dampness, you will have to arrest the dampness, irrespective it's a modular furniture or irrespective it's a custom made furniture.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. There is one question which is by Vidushi, which says, are there any alternatives for varnishes which are used in furnitures which release VOCs? I guess she is an environmentally conscious consumer.
But I think varnish is great. Thank you so much. I think uh, in terms of environment, even varnish is not something which is preferable, because nowadays even the varnishes come with a lot of lead content into it. So I think the lead is going to do more harm than what a Fevicol would do. And a laminate is also made up of natural materials like calcium carbonate. The major component of a laminate is a calcium carbonate. And veneer, of course, is a material which is completely made out of wood and the barks of wood. All the grains, beautiful grains that you see on a veneer, are coming from barks. So I think it's a completely environmental friendly material. And in terms of comparatively to a carpentry made material, I think carpentry involves much more wastage than a modular furniture. So you will save both in terms of cost and in terms of material when you opt for a modular furniture.
Thank you so much for that. We have a question on YouTube by Piyush Choksi, who says, do we have any software to know how much quantity is required?
Okay. All right. I wish I could show that to you, Piyush. But I think there are many such softwares. Say, for example, there is major usage of ERP in today's world. There is IMOS. Now, I know these are technical terms which you wouldn't understand, but the moment you Google IMOS, you will understand that these are softwares pretty much designed to gather a data from one 3D software to develop what kind of cut sizes are required. So say, for example, if I'm making a unit wherein the depth of the unit is, say, for example, around 2 feet, the front elevation is around 3, and the height is going to be, again, 2.5 feet. So the software will be capable enough of understanding, if this is the depth and this is the unit, how much material is required in terms of for my cut sizes. Now, in a modular furniture industry, the vision is not very clear in terms of the factory on, just give me 1 second, guys. Just really sorry. I'm really sorry. So, yeah. So I think the softwares are pretty much easy derivatives. It could capture a lot of details from your existing software where the 3Ds are developed and convert them into cut sizes. Now, these factories, they do not know what exactly is the design going to look like. उनके पास सिर्फ cut sizes and panels आते हैं कि ये panel हमें 10 by 10 का यहाँ manufacture करके देना है, ये 6 by 6 का करके देना है, ये 2 by 2 का करके देना है. Now, how are these things going to be assembled is something which is up to the project management team that is going to work onto the site or as per the architect's instruction. But again, there are various other softwares which can do that for you.
Thank you so much. There's a question for Sanjay sir, which Preksha Jain has asked long back, and she's reposting it over and over again. Sure. The atmosphere created at office to work is different than than the home-like work. So, what are the necessities that you must take care of when you're getting into such office sort of atmosphere at home?
Work from home is what actually we were working on, and as I rightly said, I mean, Pratyush also actually faced a little bit of problem just a couple of seconds back that there was unwanted sound happening here and there. So in my presentation also, I had actually discussed that first of all, when I want to convert my small space within the house into an office area, what I need to do is create a comfortable corner where there is enough light, there is enough of ventilation, it is a soundproof thing. So I can sit in a corner and not get disturbed for what I am actually working on, because it is not a half an hour, 1 hour job. It is supposed to be now working from home as a full-time job. So that is that corner has to be rightly worked out within the house, the first part. Then the second part is, if we have the luxury of larger spaces, then the larger spaces has to be designed in such a way that the transition from the home to that office within the house is very smooth. You don't feel like, okay, now I am in one zone and the second zone is coming up secondly. So that also has to be taken care of when we are designing office areas or work areas within the house.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. We'll take one last question by Maria, which says that why is it that modular furniture is a second priority for people, and they always think that the best designs and flexibility you get from the custom-made carpenter furniture?
Okay, that's again a very nice question. Thank you so much, Maria. So I think it's more of how you see things. I think people have been accustomed to custom carpentry for the last 100 years in terms of the market in Mumbai, but it's not a very common practice of using modular furniture. It's now, when things are changing, when there is the prices of all the materials are going up. A Burma teak wood back in 2013 was around 5,000 rupees a gun foot. So what you compare today, a very good Burma teak wood would cost you around 8,000 rupees a gun foot. So there has been a drastic change in the upcoming times, and old Burma teak is no more available in the market, right? So how you look at this is, if the material, I'll read your question again. It says, if the material used for modular furniture are of good quality, then why is it not used for a longer period of time? I think it's a myth. See, carpenters are also using a commercial ply, which could be a branded plywood from companies like Green, from Sharon, from Century, and the same materials are used by a modular factory as well. Agar carpentry ka bana hua furniture 10 saal chalega, so guarantee this is going to work 15 years, right? It depends from usage to usage, from person to person, but I don't think this is true. Anyone can go for a modular furniture, but just that it's a myth. As I told you, 3 years back, the technology was completely different. The compression was different. And today we are working on a very different technology altogether, right? If you deep dive into modular industry and the kind of materials which is being used, it'll take you around 6 months for you to learn what all just machineries are available just to process the modular furniture, right? So the compression has changed, and functionality wise or the life wise, I think product can last 25 years. There's no problem in terms of the life.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have so many more questions on YouTube as well as over here, but I'm sure we are running out of time. Thank you so much to both our experts here today. Can we please have Dr. Geeta Ibrahim? Ma'am, if you're here, we do want your wishes.
Yeah, I'm very much here, Rupa.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Actually, it's a, a very warm welcome, I should say, but it's towards the end of the webinar where I have joined in. Sorry for that because I was a little occupied with other webinar and some other meetings. But it has given me an advantage because I got to hear the experts who are here with us, Mr. Sanjay Pabari and Mr. Khatri. And of course, though I come from a very different field, this has been a very interesting session. So whatever I could hear in bits and pieces has been really very, very interesting. And I'm sure the participants across the globe, that's what I've come to know, that you have participants not only from India locally, but across globe. And therefore, it's a I don't know, there would be a different time, but good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all of you, and a very warm welcome to the College of Home Science Nirmala Niketan webinars organized by the Department of Community Resource Management. And we have our dedicated staff of the department, Sunita, Rupa, and Sakina, who have really worked hard to make this happen. It is the start of the second series of webinars, and there are many interesting ones. They've really taken care to, cover so many interesting topics related to the pandemic that we are going through. And what I could hear from today is so many practical inputs that were given. And I really like the point that Mr. Pabari made, that, necessity is a mother of invention, and that's exactly what our staff have done here. It has this situation has really caused a lot of stress to everybody, but there are lots of questions that need answers, and I think today our experts have done that wonderfully. We would be definitely needing your help when we go back to work in our workplace, with all your inputs that you've given and all the expertise that you're coming with. We would be, seeking your help in the social distancing and whatever that you just mentioned about different ways of arrangement of classes and so on. So thank you to both the experts. Thank you to the participants who are here with us. And thank you very much to our team of teachers who have organized this. And I wish the series ahead all the best. So I would love to be a part of them whenever possible. I really enjoyed whatever I heard today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those
Thank
words
you.
of encouragement. Thank you so much. I also would want to, before calling up Ms. Sunita Jaiswal, our head of the department, to propose a vote of thanks. A huge thanks to Sanjay sir for even answering all the questions on the Q&A section. He's answered most of them because he knew possibly that we would run out of time, and he's answered all of them. Thank you so much, sir. I now call upon Mrs. Sunita Jaiswal to kindly propose the vote of thanks as we come to the end of this program.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Department, Community Resource Management, College of Home Science, Nirmala Niketan, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our honorable speakers, experts, who blessed us with their presence and took over and gave their valuable time in this busy schedule. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation for Mr. Sanjay Pabari, sir, who through his presentation told us about the technological changes taking place in design, especially low economy, restricted design in present scenario. I was actually very, very stunned to know about the bunker houses, which is something really very new. And also use of bright and bold colors, which is being replaced. Yes, people are actually wanting all those bright colors. Thank you very much, sir.
You.
Mr. Pratyush Khatri, sir, for his myths about modular furnitures and current trends in design. The video was very, very informative. You have given us a detailed information about modular furnitures and the carpentry furnitures. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Pleasure was mine.
Miss Rupa,
Yeah, I must mention the 40 gems that we have, our TY students who have worked day and night to ensure that the brochures were ready, the website is working. I again got a call from one of them saying, ma'am, the YouTube link is not working for feedback forms. So the girls have been very anxious. They have, they are our support, they are our backbone. And thank you so much, lovely 40 that we have. And we call them the naughty 40. So thanks so much to them also. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thanks, Ms. Rupa.
Thank you
Rupa,
very
I
much.
have one very interesting question that had come from Maitri, and I would like to answer it. I'm
Yes, sir.
sorry.
Yes, sir,
I
please.
know we have crossed the timelines. It should have ended a long back.
But I'm sure
But
Maitri
then
will be
this
happy
is,
for that.
yeah, thank you so much. But then this is very important because this is going to shape a lot of lives over here. And that's why I wanted to do it live rather than doing over the chat. And she has asked a question: to become a successful designer, where do we start from while educating? What are the key features to become a successful designers? Like we make our own space and consider it residential or commercial and design it. What exactly do we do to become a successful designer at a young age? Okay, a pretty interesting insight. And I think this is the right question you should be asking. I'm very happy someone asked this question. I think you can read a lot of books about it. You can read a lot of books. Okay, let me give you a very different example. An interior designing cannot be achieved from reading books or just learning out of college. You will need someone who has already been working onto the field for a very long time. This works exactly like cycle balance. You may read a lot of books on balancing a cycle, but then unless and until you sit on a cycle, you would never know how to ride it. And that's exactly how interior designing works. So do not run behind money. That is where the gimmick is. If the moment you're out of college and then you go for a corporate job and then you start earning good money, that is where the honey trap is. You may end up doing something which is a particular job, like making just a particular design or a particular drawing. Rather work under a freelancer or a smaller architect who's practicing into the market. Go along with him into the market, because one major thing which involves success is talking to the clients. You may be the world's best designer, but unless and until you do not know how to present your designers to your clients, you will never be able to sell them, right? And that is a practical exposure that you can get while working with a private architect who runs the entire show, right from designing to execution onto the site, from procuring materials to the market, to the site visits, to the sleepless nights, of course, because from here on, if you're choosing interior designing, forget that you have sleep. There's nothing called sleep, right? But it's a passion-driven field, and I think there is a lot more that you can see. There is a lot that you can learn from travel to different countries, look at different colors, what kind of materials different people are using. There is a lot to learn, and this feature is not any lesser profession in compared to a lawyer or a doctor or anything else. It requires an everyday learning, and I think that comes from interacting with people who have knowledge. And that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just before we wind up, I would like to say that the department is organizing more webinars. Tomorrow we have one on legal issues, and at 4 o'clock we have one stroke painting workshop by Fevicryl. Please do join. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. And thank you so much to Mr. Pratyush and Sanjay sir for being around with us and helping us with this webinar. Thank you.
Pleasure is ours. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Signing
The
off.
pleasure was ours.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, nice talking to you, Mr. Pratyush also.
Oh, nice talking to you too, sir. I think we'll catch up soon.
Certainly, certainly.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. You
Bye-bye,
all
all of you.
you all
Thank
enjoy
you,
the rest
Sunita
of the
ma'am,
evening. Thank you.
Sakina ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.